throughout history. How long did people used to sleep? Are you and I sleeping longer than people used to sleep throughout history, or are we sleeping shorter? Are we sleeping better, or did people throughout history used to sleep better? That's what I wanna talk with you about. And if right now you're losing some sleep or you don't sleep as long as you want, I'm gonna share with you one thing, or maybe even two things, that are gonna give you a much more positive outlook on the way you and I are sleeping today. So, how long did people used to sleep? From data that we have from history, from literature, and a half a dozen other fields, here's what we know. Throughout history, from ancient Rome over 2000 years ago till late 18th century, people used to sleep biphasic, meaning they didn't used to sleep for an 8-hour stretch, but they used to have two sleeps. Firstly, they would sleep for 3.5 hours, then they would wake up, and for 1.5 hours they would do all kinds of different activities, and then they would go to bed for another 3.5 more hours. Now, what do you think people used to do in that stretch of 1.5 hour between their two sleeps? Well, they used to do all kinds of things. First, the more obvious, they would have a journal, have a pen, and they would journal their dreams. They didn't used to have Netflix back then, so they would journal, they would engage in their dream theater of their mind. Another thing, they would visit their neighbors, they would do all kinds of different chores, cleaning or preparing some food, maybe some breakfast for a few hours later, and get this, sleep physicians back then, physicians would suggest to people, if you want to conceive a child, if you want a child, you know what you should do? Have sex before the two sleeps that you have in the night. That's right, if you have sex between the first and second sleep, that's when there's the highest chance of you conceiving a child. Which obviously sounds ridiculous, but that's what they believed back then. They also didn't used to have a lot of medicine back then, so that advice I wouldn't take it as a very good medical advice necessarily. But back to our topic. Who used to sleep better? Are you and I sleeping better today, or did they back throughout history used to sleep better? Is that type of sleep, biphasic sleep, two sleeps better than one? And why? Why are we sleeping in just one sleep today? Now let's first start with that. How did we get to one sleep? It all started with the invention of artificial light. From the late 18th century, once the street light was invented outside and it was brought then inside with the invention of the light bulb, what happened was we started going to bed later and later, and as a result, that period between the two sleeps, the 1.5 hour, it started shrinking more and more and more until the two sleeps, the first and second sleep, became one single whole, and people slept a full 7 to 8 hours. That's how the whole 7 to 8 hours of sleep today was invented. But which is better? Who's sleeping better? Are you and I sleeping better? Or do people used to sleep better? Well, here's the facts. There's two big things. First, back throughout history, people were much less tolerant when it came to anything, really, when it comes to bedtime. They were less tolerant to bed bugs. Like, people today, they still have bed bugs, but they don't even know today if they have bed bugs. A lot of people have bed bugs, yet they still can maintain good sleep throughout the night. But back throughout history, nope. They could not do that. They also had a lot of lice. If they caught a cold, they were much less tolerant to any kinds of diseases, including something very natural today, something that doesn't bother us as much today as a cold. Another cool thing is this. As our sleep got shorter, as the time between first and second sleep got shorter and shorter, what happened was our REM sleep, when we dream, it got shorter and shorter and shorter. But get this, as our REM sleep got shorter, our deep sleep, it got deeper and deeper. So what this means is, today you and I are dreaming less, but we are sleeping deeper, meaning our sleep is much more physically restorative, which I think is pretty cool. What do you think? We don't need to dream today as much now, do we? We have Netflix, we have YouTube, we have all kinds of movies that can inspire and motivate us. So losing some REM sleep, I wouldn't say that's the worst thing, especially since we are getting more deep sleep. So who's sleeping better? Did they used to sleep, or did you and I, or are you and I sleeping better? I think you can answer that question. I'm gonna let you answer that question for yourself. With that said, let's continue making and producing, because that's how our sleep, from two separated sleeps which were not a whole, became a full single whole unity. It all started with the production, with the late 18th century, with the century of invention, of productiveness, of work. So I wish you to work as a warrior, and to sleep like a champion.